My name is Christopher Johnson. I was in the USF in London program this past July. And how long I stayed in my major, I'm a double political science and English major. I'm entering my third year of college.
Becca Marshall. I did the London-Paris program with Dr. Merrick, and I'm an international studies major with a minor in Homeland Security and disaster relief. And the program was 10 days split between Paris and London. London first at the end of April into the beginning of May.
My name is Stephen Peck. I went on the Costa Rica study.
Well, first off, it was fantastic. It was really well set up. Basically, the way it worked is that there were two classes. One was on British identity, taught by Dr. Charles Adams, who's the Dean of the Honors College, and the other class was Anglo-American migration in the 21st century, taught by Dr. Solomon from political science. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, each of those classes met for about 2 hours or so. And it was really fun because the classes were really focused on the experiences that we had outside of the classroom during the week, and then also the places that we went on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it was really good.
Oh, everything. We visited all of the tourist sites, especially in London. We got to see Buckingham Palace, we saw Big Ben, and in Paris we saw the Eiffel Tower and Notre Dame. And also, as a side note, we went to the Harry Potter tour.
Well, one weekend we went on we toured a volcano. Another weekend we went to a water park, which was really cool.
Both classes kind of focused on one big end of course assignment or project, and then basically structured their lectures and lessons around excursions that the classes went abroad and did. So for example, in my British identity class with Dr. Adams, I think our first week actually took an excursion to Brixton. And Brixton's a region of London that has a really strong Caribbean and ethnic background. And basically the idea was that we wanted to integrate what we learned about conceptual ideas of British identity and then mix that with our actual first-hand experiences of being on the ground and experiencing London from our own perspective. So both classes were kind of set up that way, and they both worked out really well. The big thing about these London classes was that they were really small. They were really focused on this kind of seminar or Socratic method where people are talking about ideas. They're arguing in class, and they're able to compare. They're able to talk about the ideas that we conceptually address in a lecture and relate that to experiences that we've all experienced doing an excursion. So the ideas and the lessons are a lot more relatable, they're a lot more personal, and the professors know that too, so they have a lot more energy, honestly.
A lot of it was we went over the class discussions right before we left for the trip. It was about a month, and it entailed us talking about the trip, what we were encountering, and also the history of it. But while we were there, it was very hands-on, kind of like a sightseeing approach to it, where we had tour guides that told us a lot about it. So it wasn't in class discussions, which I really liked because it made it more interesting and fun, and I was able to connect with my fellow classmates.
I took Spanish 1, and then I took kind of a special topic to geology class. We had Spanish class every day, Monday through Friday, from 8 a.m. to I want to say maybe 2. So it was a pretty long class. So it was pretty intensive. And then about an hour after that, we had geology class. And Spanish, it was pretty introductory on the first week, but after that it started to ramp up a little bit. There was no English speaking in it, so you kind of had to figure stuff out. In class, those are people that spoken Spanish all their lives. They do it every day. They don't really speak English because there's not really English speakers there. And for lunch and for your adventures, you get to go out and actually use what you've learned, which is a great reinforcement.
There was a moment, it was our first weekend when we had the London Pass, and we went to the Hms Belfast with Dr. Solomon and a few people. The Belfast is this World War II era destroyer that sits in the River Thames now, and it's fascinating because it's kind of a museum. on one hand, but it's very much like an artifact and a relic. And you get to walk around this boat and feel what it felt like to be chugging over the North Atlantic seas looking for U-boats, and missing your family and your sons and your wife, and having to sleep with 300 other men in a room half the size of this office, and eating sludge, and you think that this is something that the British are going to be remembered by, for the next 3,000 years. The British, their legacy, cultural legacy of theirs, is going to be this ship of war. And I questioned, with the British, if I was British, would I be proud of that? Would I be proud of that artifact? And then I asked myself as an American, when I think about the things that we've done with the world and to the world and with the world, is that something I'm proud of? And that moment, that memory was something that really stuck with me and really shaped the way I looked at my backpacking before and everything I learned after that. So I wish I had missed my plane coming back. That's for sure. I wish I had spent more time. In all seriousness, I think I would have liked to see more of England and Scotland. After the program, I went up to Manchester and then over to Edinburgh, and I really loved it. I mean, they're really cool cities, but I wish that I had seized the opportunity more to go see new places.
No regrets. Favorite memory. It's honestly a toss-up between the royal baby being born while I was in London or actually seeing the Harry Potter tour.
Well, to start with regrets, I probably should have went out a little bit more. We had quite a bit of homework, kind of procrastinated a lot of it. So I was with my host family in my bedroom most of the time there. But my favorite part, probably, let's see, we went on 3 different excursions. I want to say that the first excursion we went on was really cool. We got to, hike up a volcano. We got to go zip lining. We went down a water slide that was caved into the side of or carved into the side of the volcano.
I had a really fascinating experience because I studied in London in July, but then I also backpacked across Europe in June. And I had really I had this experience where I got to be independent. I was completely by myself, and I really loved exploring new cities and stuff. When I came to London, one of the things I was really worried about was not being able to go out and explore the city, that I would be really regimented and really structured. But what I found actually was that it was quite the opposite. My professors not only went out with us to really interesting places like the Museum of Nautical History in Canary Wharf, or to the U.S. Embassy in downtown London. That was really cool. They not only went there with us during class hours for class excursions, they also went to restaurants and bars with us. Even after hours, they went to, on the weekends, we went on group excursions to Dover and to Brighton, Cambridge, Oxford. I don't know, it's hard to say, because I really think that the excursion element was something that I had never really experienced before in an educational setting, but it really brought home the idea of what it means to learn, to really take in something from your own perspective and to integrate it into the way you look at the world. And that's something that I think a lot of non-study abroad courses can really learn from.
I can take the tube by myself, but seriously, I think it's just, I didn't realize the confidence you gain from traveling abroad. You come back completely changed, you look at the world in a completely different light, and you see that there are a lot of issues and good things and bad things that are much bigger than you in this little bubble, which is cool.
Application went really quick for me because I found out about this stuff last minute. I found out about it at the USF Study Abroad Fair in, I think, late January or early February. And I got accepted into the program February 7th, 8th maybe. And then I just started applying for scholarships. I applied for the Education Abroad at USF scholarship. I applied for the Gilman, and I applied for financial aid through USF.
I was actually a weird situation because I was looking at programs, and I first was looking at the London program for a month with Professor Solomon's class, and I got like a mass email from the department saying that there was an extra spot for the London-Paris program, and it just worked better for my situation. So I immediately emailed Dr. Merrick, and it was very rushed because they needed, to order airplane tickets and everything very quickly. So I sent all of my information within a matter of a week to the education department, met with finance. I have to say, my situation was fairly easy. Just took out loads of paper stuff, so I kind of was prepared for it.
I'm financially independent. I work and I get my way through college. I get a lot of help from financial aid, from scholarships and grants and loans, but I don't really have an example of someone who can walk me through some of the more nuanced parts of financial aid. And I really struggled with basically communicating with the study abroad office, the cashier's office, the financial aid office, to make sure that we're all on the same page as far as where I am in the process and how much was expected, financially, but also in terms of time commitments and deadlines and stuff like that. And I think that was a really tough part. I think this school honestly could do a lot better at streamlining and assigning responsibilities and stuff like that to particular offices. But other than that, the process, the application itself was really, really simple. It was, if you want to go, if you really believe that you're going to improve as a person by exploring new parts of the world, then they want you to go. If you can express that and you can articulate that, then they're going to let you on the program. And that kind of validation was something that really made me really comfortable and satisfied.
Definitely start early. That would have helped me out a little bit more. Find a program that applies to your degree, because that'll really push you to get going on it. And then when you're actually in your program, it'll help you to keep going.
I think all students should do it because it's an amazing experience, and you're not going to come back the same person, and that's a good thing. You will learn a lot. You will grow as a person. I would say also, not so much with application process, I guess, but whatever program you choose to go on, always be in mind of where you're going and the culture. Because even somewhere that seems similar, like London, is very different culturally than our country. So I think that was sometimes a hard thing to remember, is people aren't the same as what you're used to here.
I would say recognize that the way you look at the world is colored by some really fundamental presumptions. You have these ideas of what it means to be an American, to be a man or a woman, to be black or white, to be rich or poor, and those assumptions aren't invalid, but they are framed in a context of living where you live. When you go to some other part of the world, that context is completely thrown out the window. With it, your fundamental presumptions they're going to be challenged a lot. And what I really want you to do is encourage. I would try to speed up that process. I would ask yourself, what are those fundamental things that you believe, and then challenge them as rigorously as you possibly can. Really, and yeah, it's troubling at times. It really is, because you kind of have a lot of little existential crises and questions about what you're doing and why you're doing it. But I have to say that I'm a happier and just healthier person, honestly, because those presumptions aren't as stable as they used to be. And I'm having to really look at the world honestly, I feel like the first time in my entire life, I'm being forced to look at the world critically and skeptically and wonder what we're doing and why we're doing it. So if you start your program by thinking that you know nothing, you're going to learn a lot. A couple things. I would first off, I guess I would say first off, stick with it, just because I think about how much of a cost it was to go through the application process. The amount of stress I had, and the amount of confusion I had. But I think about what I gained from it, and they're not even comparable. So you will profit, graciously, if you stick with the application. I have to say the other things are, realize that the program's for you. It's not for your friends and family. You're not going over there to so your family can live vicariously through you, or so your friends can think you're cooler, right? You're going there to really learn some more stuff about yourself. And when you pack, for example, when you're getting ready for the trip, you're not packing to go out every night like you might in Tampa, and you're not packing to impress people, right? You're packing to be comfortable, and your entire mindset should be less about how am I going to look and how am I going to be perceived or judged even, and more about what do I need to do, what tools do I need to get the most out of this. So just don't care so much about what other people have to say about it. Is something I'll definitely say.